Friday, August 20th, 2021.
Check this out. Crews just broke ground on a building being dubbed the world's first COVID-conscious skyscraper. The Legacy World Center will be in downtown Miami, a $4 billion building that has 10 floors of homes, hotel rooms, and a medical center. The developers say they're using hospital-grade ventilation systems, UV robots, and touchless technology. It also has antimicrobial material on all the furniture throughout the building. Wow, that antimicrobial material is a fascinating choice. And I think this pandemic has made a lot of us a lot more aware of the surfaces that we touch every day. Now, obviously in the office, that can mean things like your phone, your keyboard, your mouse. I wonder how long this breakfast syrup has been here. You're going to find stuff when you get back to your office, right? Let's bring back Dr. Kavita Patel and Dr. Derek Cass. So Dr. Cass, look, in the beginning of the pandemic, we were tirelessly cleaning our surfaces. I was cleaning my groceries off. Lana from Maryland asks, does research show whether Delta, which is far more contagious than previous variants, is transmissible on surfaces? And if so, does this change the current advice that the virus is only transmitted through droplets in the air? Should we go back to disinfecting surfaces?
So we haven't actually seen any new data saying that Delta is more transmissible on surfaces versus the fact that it is definitely more transmissible. And that really has to do with where it hangs out on your body, your nose, and in your throat. So what I would say is the practices you've been doing that keep you comfortable and safe, keep doing them. If you feel comfortable wiping down surfaces when you get to your office, I have my own protocol when I get to my desk at work in the hospital where everything gets wiped down. So that's okay. But what I would say is don't be so anxious that every surface you touch is potentially dangerous. We have not seen surface transmission, and so I would say that even with Delta, the better steps are to stay vaccinated, stay distanced, and not worry as much about the surfaces that you touch.
Okay, so Dr. Patel, a lot of major companies offer the flu vaccine to their workforce, and now a lot of them are requiring people to get the COVID vaccine before going back to work. We got a couple of questions just a couple of minutes ago about both. How do we coordinate the booster shot and the flu vaccine if both are due at the same time? Are there any counterindications to getting them both at the same time?
Yeah, great question. So you can safely get any vaccines you need with that booster shot or even with the first and second shots, because our thinking and our knowledge has evolved. My only practical tip for my own patients, get them in different arms. So that's one thing I tell people to do. And then, of course, if you've had previous issues with flu shots or allergies to certain issues, that can be a question to bring up with your doctor, but it's safe to get them at the same time.
Good to know. Okay, Dr. Cass, a lot of people experience side effects after getting their first or second dose, particularly of the vaccine. Now people have to think about the possibility of maybe taking a day off when they get the booster shot. A viewer asked on Twitter, I experienced flu-like symptoms for 24 hours after my second Moderna shot. Am I likely to have the same experience with the booster?
So yeah, we are seeing anecdotally, at least people that I know that are immune compromised who are getting that third vaccine, that they are having some side effects similar to what they had after the second one. And what I would tell them, as I would anyone else, is that that's your immune system working. We also recommend socially that people, if they can, get the vaccine the day before they're not going to be going into work, because it may be hard to get your workplace to pay you for that day off. In New York State, where I live, you can get paid time off to get the vaccine, but you need to use your sick time to recover for the vaccine potentially. So do it the day before you're off from work. Realize that you may have limited symptoms, but all of that is better than getting COVID.
Dr. Patel, we received a question about vaccinations and long-term effects of COVID. A viewer asks, are people who are vaccinated and get mild cases of Delta COVID getting long hauler symptoms?
Yeah, Chris, we are seeing people who have those breakthrough cases, albeit mild, some even asymptomatic, who are reporting even weeks to months later some of these symptoms. Anything from headaches to skin changes. Here's what I would say, Chris, this is still kind of an unfolding area of science. If you have something that just feels off, even after a breakthrough infection, a mild one or even an asymptomatic one, seek out help, and seek out help from people who have had experience with long COVID or the post-acute sequelae of COVID, as we're calling them. A very important question, always something we need to keep on top of.
Great question we just got. I'm going to read it off my phone. My son and his wife are both high school teachers in different schools and are going back to in-person teaching next week. My 72-year-old wife has volunteered to be there every day to drive the two grandkids to school and to pick them up when needed. We need good advice. Grandpa Vlad. What do you say? Dr. Cass?
What's the question?
The question is, what should I do to make sure I keep my grandkids safe if I'm taking them to and from school every day? And by the way, how do I stay safe? Because my wife's 72. We're both older.
So the most important thing around school exposure is that we have policies in place that keep kids safe and in school. We're not looking for zero COVID in school. We're looking for zero transmission in school. And I mean, mask policies, lunch place policies that decrease transmission when kids are unvaccinated and unmasked and eating. It also means that if grandparents are driving their kids to school every day, they may choose to actually wear a mask in the car during those periods of time where they may not know if everyone is negative. I would also remind everyone that vaccinated adults keep kids safe. And so as long as those kids are going back and forth to school, you want to get as many of those adults vaccinated and then the third vaccine as needed to keep everybody protecting each other, which is what I think Vlad's really asking.
Last question, back to the future, Dr. Patel, the masking issue. The mask everybody's wearing now, given the Delta variant, particularly if you're going to be in an indoor space, if you're going to be flying or on a subway, do we need to upgrade?
So upgrading in terms of
KN95, one of the masks that's a little more than this, basic 50-cent mask.
So I would say that if you're definitely in an area, which is basically the whole country right now, of high transmissibility, high cases, then the better your mask, the better off you are in protecting on top of your vaccination. Remember, we know the double mask can also be helpful. So I know there's a short supply on those KN95s, Chris, not easy to get, and they can be pricey. So what I'd like to see are just more people acknowledging that we need to wear masks properly, nose and mouth. And if you can, double up on those fabric masks. Make sure you can't see through the masks, because if you can, it's not good enough. And of course, if you have the luxury and ability to, upgrading can always be of benefit.
Dr. Patel, Dr. Cass, you guys are awesome. Thank you for answering so many questions in just 1 hour. That's going to do it for me this hour. Thanks so much for joining us for this Q&A on staying safe as you head back to work. We'll be answering more of your questions next Friday, focused on getting safely back to school. Andrea Mitchell Reports starts next. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe.